So you want to know how to lose fat. My name's Blake, and I've been working out for about 8 years now. Granted that the first couple years I actually wasn't using really any weights. I was just doing some cardio, starving myself. I was a chubby little kid, and I thought that that's what I needed to do in order to get in shape. So ended up starving myself and becoming just this skinny, fat, still out of shape kid, not knowing what he did wrong. It took me a long time to realize what I was doing wrong until I actually started lifting weights and getting into bodybuilding culture, which then, of course, that's what actually got me jacked. And so today we're going to go over a few of the tips I've learned along the way to help make your journey to getting an aesthetic physique a lot more efficient. So first things first, we're going to need to build muscle and bulk up. Now, it might be contradictory to what you think you need to do, and you think you need to go ahead and lose weight and get abs and whatever, but I'm here to tell you that that's not going to happen. Unless you're morbidly obese, the first thing you need to do is bulk up. If you just go ahead and cut down without building up any muscle first, you're just going to end up looking skinny fat just like I did, and you're going to end up wasting a lot of time, because once you realize you're skinny fat, you're going to have to bulk up then and then cut back down. So the first thing you want to do is just go ahead and build muscle. So when you cut down, there's already some muscle under that fat just waiting, waiting to be, cut down to, whatever you want to say. So the first things first is you're just going to need to bulk up. Pretty simple tip is it's just part of the process, and you're just going to need to accept that that's what you're going to have to do before you're able to cut down and actually see your ab definition. That was something I struggled with a long time, because I just wanted to go ahead and immediately have abs, but it wasn't up until I started bulking up first and then cutting down, I actually started looking good and started looking decent. Now, once you put a little bit of muscle on your frame and you're ready to go ahead and start your first cut, we want to make sure that we're losing fat and not just weight. There's not a perfect correlation between the two, see, because losing fat is just going to uncover the muscle, and you're going to see all the striations, the abs, the veins, everything. That's great. But if you're just losing weight, you could be losing muscle too. So all that muscle that you just built up is just getting eaten away at, because you're in maybe too much of a caloric deficit or something like that. And then you're just going to have nothing to show off whenever you get down, because you were too worried about a number and not the actual quality of the weight that you were losing. See, it's a lot better to lose just a little bit, a couple pounds, maybe a couple pounds, but all of it be fat, rather than losing a ton of weight and then it's just all the muscle that you just spent however many months building up, bulking up. So we want to avoid that by making sure we're losing fat and not losing weight. Well, losing weight, but just, losing quality weight is what we want, not just losing weight in general, if you get what I mean. To make sure we're doing that, we're really going to want to dial in on our diet. See, now a lot of YouTubers that you see are just fucking peeled to the gills, shredded all year round, and they're eating McDonald's, they're having 100 grams of sugar per meal, and they're able to get away with it. But for guys like you and me, for us, it just doesn't work like that. We can't do that. We want to make sure that the quality of the food that we're getting is good. See, because losing fat and losing weight just boils down to one simple concept: calories in versus calories out. And that's great and all, but in my opinion, like I said, for guys like us, the quality matters. We can't just have McDonald's or Burger King. We need actual good food that's going to be nutritious for us. And the first thing we're going to want to do is eat enough protein. Now, the research shows that all you really need is 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. But personally, when I'm cutting, I like to just stick to the typical bro science of 1 gram per pound of body weight, just because it's just kind of easier to grasp that in my mind and just kind of keep an eye on it. And now, it's not the end of the world, because like I said, research shows that you can get away with a little bit of less, but as long as you're aiming for 1 gram per pound of body weight, in my eyes, it's gonna be a lot easier to reach that goal. It's not something to stress over too much, but as long as you're consciously making an effort to eat enough protein, I think it's gonna be too easy to hit that goal, you know what I mean? So the first thing you want to do is just make sure we're eating enough protein. And next, a big tip is when you're cutting out some of the foods from your diet and cutting out calories, you do not want to cut micronutrients. That's going to be the last thing that you want to cut. Micronutrients are going to balance out your hormones, affect your performance, and just generally make you feel good all throughout the day. You want to make sure you're getting your vitamins in through whole foods and everything, all the micronutrients. You don't want to cut that out. So yeah, just don't cut your micronutrients. And this is why I say that the main source of your caloric deficit should not be from your diet. I choose to have the main source of my caloric deficit come from my cardio. And the cardio is going to be the biggest thing in determining your fat loss. I'd rather have it come from cardio rather than your diet, because when you're cutting from your diet, I feel like you're eventually going to hit a wall where it's too little amount of calories for the amount of training you have to do. And then again, you're just going to start eating away at your muscle, the muscle that you spent all that time building, and you're just going to end up skinny fat. You need to make sure it's from cardio, because when you're doing it from cardio, your body's using that excess energy. So that fat, which is just excess energy stored in the body, is just going to get eaten away at, rather than just cutting your calories to oblivion until you feel like absolute shit and you're walking around like a zombie every day, just barely able to train and do whatever your normal routine is. So we want to make sure it's coming from cardio. Now, I assume that you're like me and you absolutely despise the typical ways of getting your cardio in that everybody recommends. And things like running and stuff, I don't know why, I absolutely cannot stand running, but that's just me. So we need to make sure we're finding some form of cardio that we think is fun, that you want to do. And for me, I didn't really like running. I had to force myself to go do it, and I quickly realized that I needed to find a different way to get more high intensity cardio in, but in a way that was more fun to me. So, I picked up martial arts and jiu-jitsu, repping the gym right now. I picked up martial arts and jiu-jitsu, and man, I'm telling you, like, jiu-jitsu it's fucking difficult. It wrecks my body, but afterwards I feel great. I enjoy it. There's no pressure. Like, I don't have to force myself. Oops. I don't have to force myself to show up like I do for running, and it's just easy for me to show up like that, stay the whole class. I just enjoy it. So I think that if you're going to do any high intensity cardio while you're cutting, that you need to make sure it's something that you can stick to, that's fun for you, that you don't have to force yourself to go do. And at least maybe just like once per week, just do some form of high intensity cardio. You don't really need more than that, and you can. I do, but it's just up to you. And the main source of cardio that I'd recommend is actually walking. Walking is super beneficial for you. It's one of the best things that you can do, especially because it's low effort. It doesn't take that much. And the biggest thing I'd recommend in terms of walking is taking a 10-minute or just like a little short walk after each meal that you eat. Now, this is going to be highly beneficial for you in the long run, for just across the board in terms of everything, not even just fat loss, for many reasons. When you take a short walk after your meal, it's going to increase your insulin sensitivity, lower your blood sugar, which is just going to be really good for digestion and performance overall. Another thing I want you to keep in mind is that taking multiple walks throughout the day after each meal is going to be better than taking one long walk at the end of the day after just being lazy all day. Because this is just going to keep your body moving. It's going to keep everything moving, just everything warmed up and good. And it's going to help you with recovery and just a plethora of other factors. This is actually a tip that I got from Stan Efferding in his vertical diet. It's one of the best pieces of cardio advice that I've gotten, or just fitness advice that I've gotten ever. Like, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's that you need to take a short walk after your meal. Just try it after one meal. Let me know in the comments what you think, if it worked for you, if it helped. And other than that, in terms of walking, I'd recommend trying to get in at least like 10,000 steps per day. I've really been slacking on that because I've been getting my cardio in by a plethora of other means. So I've balanced it out a little bit, but that's not really an excuse. I'd recommend just trying to get, if you're starting out, trying to get around 10,000 steps per day, maybe 5,000 at the lowest. But start somewhere around there and just see how it goes, and you'll just watch the fat just drop. And the last thing I want to talk about is sleep. A lot of people just ignore sleep for whatever reason. It's one of the most underrated subjects. Even from the people that talk highly about it, it's still just underrated in my opinion. Sleep is going to be the most important factor, just almost as important as showing up to the gym to train in the first place. And the reason for that is because in the gym, is where you tear down the muscle. It's breaking apart. You know, you're making those little micro tears in the muscle, right? Sleep and recovery is going to be where you build it back up, where the muscle actually gets bigger. It builds itself back up. So recovery is where the gains are made. And a lot of us neglect sleep. We stay up way too late, wake up way too early, just not getting enough sleep. And I'm sure we all know the recommended amount of sleep is about 8 hours. And you probably think you hit that just because you go to bed and wake up with 8 hours in between, but that's just not the case. It actually takes you about 1 to 2 hours to truly fall asleep. It's not just it doesn't start when you just close your eyes and then all of a sudden, boom, that's like sleep that you can track. It takes about 1 to 2 hours to actually fall asleep. So if you wanted to make sure that you were getting in your 8 hours, you're going to want to wake up or go to sleep, or you're going to want to go to sleep around 9 to 10 hours before you actually have to wake up, because that's going to ensure that you're going to get as close to 8 hours as humanly possible. And then that's just going to obviously affect your performance, just make you feel a lot better, just in your performance at the gym, your performance in business, your social circle, everything. Just sleep is going to be highly underrated. And once you start really trying to focus on dialing that in, you're going to notice a big difference in how much easier your life seems to get. And that's going to wrap it up with my tips to help you lose fat. If you're struggling to get the physique that you want, go ahead and book a free call with me. Link in the description. We can discuss my one-on-one coaching package for free. Just check the link in the description. And remember, be better than you were yesterday.